What's up, you guys? Teddy Striker here, and in today's video, I want to talk about what's Chito Vera missing because it feels like every time he goes up against someone that's highly skilled in the top five, he just loses it and he just comes up short. But he doesn't just lose like a close decision or whatever; he loses every single round. Like with Jose Aldo, like I haven't seen that fight in a long time, but I'm pretty sure he was losing every round to Jose Aldo. Then he fought Rob Font, and he was dropping Rob Font, hitting him with big shots, and that's how he was able to get the win. But Rob Font was still piecing him up like in mostly every round. It was just that Chito was landing the bigger shots, and he was able to hurt Rob Font. And then against Corey Sandhagen just didn't give him any openings to land some big shots, and Chito just got dominated from like start to finish. And it was the same thing with Sean O'Malley, and it's starting to feel like Chito Vera is he's missing something, because he should at least, at this level, you should at least be winning one round against these high level guys. Yes, sure, they're like champions and the third best guy in the world, but there's no way you should just be losing every round convincingly. You should at least have some moments in there, and maybe you take a round or two. But it just seems like Chito has trouble, getting going, getting into that flow state. But once he actually gets in there, like when he was fighting Frank Yeager, he lost the first round. He came back in the second round, and then he did really well in the third round and got a finish. Like, that was him at his best. He was putting on some pressure. He was throwing a lot of strikes. He was just doing damage, and that's what he should be focused on doing. He was also in the flow state when he fought Pedro Munoz. Like, that was a great fight. He was like doing really well, but it seems like in some of these fights he it's like he doesn't feel like it or something like that. And it's kind of similar to what Donald Cerrone was saying, because sometimes he was saying like, oh, sometimes I don't want to be in there, but and then he doesn't perform well, but there's some other times where he looks like he could be a champion. And Chito doesn't have a problem with like working hard. It's not like he's slacking off, drinking alcohol and doing all sorts of stuff, but he's actually putting in the work. He always talks about how he works so hard. He runs 1 mile for every minute he has to fight. He does all this stuff. But the thing about MMA and in life and everything, it's not always about hard work, and that's what a lot of people don't tell you. There's a lot more to success than just hard work. I mean, Jon Jones was like out partying before he fought all those light heavyweights, and he was still schooling a lot of these guys. Like, he said that he was sandblasting like prostitutes to Daniel Cormier like a week before they fought, and he still beat him. I mean, the guy was out partying during fight week while the other guys were like cutting weight and stuff like that. Like, this is crazy. But it shows that it's not just about working hard. You actually gotta be smart in there, and Jon Jones is probably one of the smartest fighters. But one of the things that Jon Jones does, Conor McGregor does as well, and hell, even Sean O'Malley, the guy who just beat Chito, does, is, even Israel Adesanya does this, but they all do visualization. They all visualize what's going to happen in their fight, and that's so beneficial to them because it helps them feel like a lot more confident and comfortable in that environment. And this is like important for a guy like Chito because he has trouble getting going. It seems like he's uncomfortable sometimes in there. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that it looks like it. And a way to eliminate that is to kind of like give yourself a feeling of deja vu. Like, okay, I'm gonna visualize how this fight is gonna go. I'm gonna think about like certain outcomes that could play out, how I can win the fight or how I might lose the fight. Because Jon Jones, he sometimes talked about how sometimes he saw like in his visualizations or his dreams that he was going to get knocked out by Rampage Jackson. And there's one thing that didn't get him knocked out, and that was when he was like crawling on the floor or something like that. And that kind of helped him get a bit more comfortable and get into his flow state. And another thing I think Chito Vera is going to need to do, and this is also something Jon Jones does very, very well, and sometimes you just got to look up to the best in your field to see what works for them. And that what Jon Jones does so well is he studies his opponents intensively. Obviously, we all know the quote, to know others, you must know yourself. But in some cases, you're gonna obviously you know yourself, but you're gonna have to study your others as well, like extensively. And that's what John Jones does. He was studying Cyril Gane while Cyril Gane was playing FIFA. I'm kidding. Cyril Gane wasn't playing FIFA, but it was just funny in the embedded episode when that actually happened. That's what John Jones said. But yeah, John Jones, he spends a lot of time like studying his opponents. He likes to see what their first moves are, how they react to a flinch or how they flinch, and all types of things. And that helps him get comfortable as well. It helps him be just more confident as well in his skills, because he knows what he's gonna have to do. He's seen it before, so it's not gonna be new. And that's something, again, like I said, it looks like Chito has some troubles with just getting that rhythm and that flow and just that timing on your opponent. So to eliminate that, again, is to study yourself, visualize, or not study yourself, but study your opponents and visualize. And to be honest, another thing is, I think that Chito, he has a lot of skills, but it seems like something's holding him back. I don't know what that is, but I think that he should change camps. And I know he's a loyal guy. He likes Jason Perillo, but I feel like that's not really a good match for him. Like, he's had all these fights, and it's like he fights the same in all these fights. It works for some opponents, but again, at the highest level, it's not gonna work. You can't just wait for your opponent to make a mistake. Sometimes you gotta bait them into making that mistake, like Conor McGregor used to do. He used to bait his opponents into making a mistake or pressure them into making a mistake. But I definitely think he should change training camps. A guy like Charles Oliveira, for example, he went from being kind of a 50-50 fighter. He would lose some fights, but then he would win and then he would lose. It was kind of tricky. But then he changed his environment. He changed his training camp. He found a great team in Chito Box that was a perfect fit for him, really. He already had the skills, but they just almost gave him that confidence in himself. And sometimes that's what you need. And then he went on to become a world champion. Now he's the second best lightweight in the world. Now, I'm not exactly sure where a guy like Chito Vera can go right now. There's a couple training camps, but I'm not too familiar with all of them and what works well for Chito. But I do think that he's gonna need to prioritize working on his Muay Thai and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the reason I say Muay Thai is because Chito, he's got some good kicks. He's got some great front kicks to the body, to the head. He's got some good leg kicks, and he doesn't often use too many roundhouse kicks to the body. But I feel like in the Sean O'Malley fight, for example, when you're pressuring him, he's gonna circle off one way or another. So throw a body kick, and then he goes the other way. You can try to intercept him with a left hook or something like that, and just mix it up. But in that O'Malley fight, he was only boxing, and Jason Perillo is a boxing coach, so that could have something to do with it. I'm not blaming his coach or anything, but who knows? Maybe it's just he's not seeing too many different looks. But I think he definitely needs to work on his Muay Thai, even to improve the way he gets into the clinch, because he was saying how, I was trying to get into the clinch, but O'Malley greased his hair. And, to me, that's kind of just an excuse. I don't think it's valid, but there's other ways you can enter the clinch. And he didn't do that. But if he works on that part of his game, he can be a lot better. He's got some great elbows and great knees in the clinch. I think that he should work on his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because he's got some long legs, he's got some long arms, which is really helpful when you're dealing with darts, choke submissions, or basically choke submissions are great for that. And just to make your opponents a bit more cautious about taking down. But if Chito doesn't change, I think that unfortunately he's eventually gonna get knocked out.